So, I want to talk about how we can use competitiveness to attract investments into Nigerian states. Join me. Hi, folks. So, welcome to The Way I See It, which is my podcast on all things the economy, money, and finance. Where would you set up a company if you had a choice? Where would you put your company or your factory? Would you go after the marketplace? Would you say, I'm going to set up a company here to take advantage of the large population or potential market size? Or would you set up a company to take advantage of, say, the access to raw materials or infrastructure? These are questions that investors ask themselves every day. Should I go here or should I go here, right? Look at Tesla. Tesla is in Germany, but Tesla is a US manufacturer, yeah? They're in Germany because the German top tax rate is about 15%. The top tax rate in the US is 21%. So clearly, Tesla is in Germany because of the taxes, but also access to the trained workforce, access to the subsidies that Germany also gives to the car manufacturers. Yeah. What about Ireland? Ireland's top tax rate is about 12.5. So Ireland has positioned itself as a low tax entryway into Europe. So you have the likes of Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook. They're all in Dublin, right? Literally. And that's where they have their European headquarters. So I think we can agree on one thing really, that if you have good policy, you tend to attract investments, in this case, foreign direct investments into your territory. And if you don't have good policies, well, the market will go somewhere else and invest. So you have to help, in quote, your economy to attract investors by bringing out good policies that will then go out and attract these flow of foreign direct investments to come home and birth in your economy. And I give you a good example. In March 2010, the town of Topeka in Kansas, they changed their name temporarily to Google. So it became the town of Google. Well, why? Why did they do this? Well, back then, Google was building these super fast internet connections in US cities. They had this program called the Fiber for Communities. So more or less, it was like an investment in rural communities, more or less to build data centers and also to provide fast internet. It was a big deal because in 2010, if you had Google in your back street, you could say, "Hey, I'm a tech hub," and basically attract more of those kind of business to come into your community. So it was a big deal. And Topeka had done all the normal things, but they went a step further by telling Google, listen, we are willing to change our name to Google if you would come cite your company um, in Topeka. Well, it didn't ultimately work, but I mean, give them an A for effort, right? The thing is, why would a town change its name for business? Well, because the town has got to pay bills. The town has got to hire teachers, got to hire policemen, it's got to clean the street, it's got to pay pensions. And the town knows that it cannot survive with handouts from the federal government. It has to create its own business. So the town then reasons, and correctly so, that if they bring out good business policies, they would attract business to the town. When business come to the town can then tax the business either through commercial VAT, value-added taxes, or even through property taxes. So ultimately, it's a win-win. The business get the low taxes, the low tax base to do business in town, but the town also gets its taxes from, say, property tax, which would go up when you have the influx of new workers to the state. So win-win, right? And this is how states in the US, this is why states in the US are called the laboratories, that things are tried out in the states. You could go, oh, okay, I'm going to do zero taxes and see what will happen. And if it works, other states copy it and it then becomes a thing. A great example, again, is the city of Portland in Oregon. So they also have very, very low data center taxes. It's about, say, about 2%. If you compare that to Chicago, which is at about 25% for these data centers. The state itself, the state of Oregon, has no sales tax. So clearly, that's a big incentive for companies to then basically go there. So you got the same thing in the US, Amazon, Google, Apple, they're all in there. They all have massive installations in the city of Portland. So That's really what happens. States look at their business practices, their environment, and they are in competition. They realize they are competing with other states and other locales to attract private sector business, because private sector business employs people, it boosts commerce, and ultimately the government or the state can tax that commerce and then provide social services like education, policing, and good affordable housing. So the way you get, let's pick an example, good quality education is to attract private sector businesses to your state. Then, when the companies come, the people come with the companies. Then commerce booms. Then you tax the commerce. Then use your new tax revenues to then build schools and attract great teachers. And then more people come. So you have a positive cycle of the country, of the community expanding, tax revenues growing, and of course those tax revenues then going back to the community. That's essentially how it's done. So let's get specific and talk about, say, Nigeria. Why can the Nigerian state not compete? Why can, say, Kogi not compete with, say, Lagos? Well, the reason is rather simple. The states really do not have much to go with. They charge payee, pay as you earn taxes, but that's the same. The rates are declared same, at the center. The state cannot tax the local businesses, i.e., what I mean is they can tax enterprises, but they cannot, say, register a public liability company or little liability company in the state's own business register. That's going to be at the federal level. So if you have a company, say Google wants to come to Nigeria, it can only be registered at the federal level, not at the state level. So in essence, the Google will go to the federal government, register the Google at, say, Abuja, and then it then pays taxes to the federal government, who then distributes to the states. I think it should be the other way around. The state should be able to go to Google and attract Google or compete with other states to get the business of Google. If Google goes to, say, Abia State, then Abia State can tax Google, retain those taxes under the principle of derivation, and then pay a token, in quote, to the federal government, right? Pay a token to the federal government in return, more or less, for having Google in the States. If you flip that script on its head by saying that you want the state to go out and market, essentially what you are going to do is you're going to create competition amongst all the states. You then have all the states trying to build roads or trying to eliminate multiple taxation, because they know that the private sector is looking for where to establish a factory or a service industry. They will go to the states that have low taxes, got good infrastructure, good security. So then you now start a race to the top, where every state is passing laws and clean up their act to attract the private sector. Because if they are able to retain more of the taxation that they're able to generate at the state level, then they'll do more of it. Like you say, you incentivize what you want to grow. So if you incentivize the states for building roads, then there'll be more roads. But if you pay or you distribute funds according to population, land mass, minimum responsibility of states, then you haven't incentivized any state to do anything. They will simply sit back and wait for the allocation from the federal government before they do anything. So, in essence, we're talking about a fiscal federalism, where the states are able to establish and regulate powers within their boundaries for the only purpose, which is to create jobs for Nigerians. So you then have Nigerians with options. We all don't have to go to the southwest. We can go to the north central, because the north central is giving allowances. If you have coppers over there, you can get a higher wage because there's going to be a matching grant, something like that. You want to create that positive competition, because that positive competition then forces productivity gains. And that's the only way you can then see progress and growth via productivity. So in closing, guys, taxes alone is not going to be the driver of foreign direct investment. What's only going to drive foreign direct investment is going to be policies, good economic policies, infrastructure, rule of law, innovation, all that kind of stuff. And you can only get that when you unleash the states, especially the Nigerian states, to compete, to use their own natural endowments to seek private sector businesses. If you do that, then you would then see that every state has got an incentive to go out and seek investment, because those investments create tax revenues, and those tax revenues then drive social spending. If you don't incentivize that, then nobody will do it. All right, guys, thanks again for listening this week. Keep following us on Twitter, FinPlanCaluAja1. Thank you for all the questions. Love you guys. Stay safe. Bye.